Hello and welcome to Stand Up for Jehovah. I want to talk about field service today. It's just such an enormous part of a Jehovah's Witness's life, isn't it? Door to door, knocking, preaching. It takes up so much time. And I'm beginning to understand that actually Jehovah's Witnesses don't do it as much anymore, do they? They do this cart witnessing thing. Well, here's my issue. First of all, we don't call them carts in England. We call them trolleys. I don't know what the witnesses call them. They probably call them carts because it's an American religion and that's what they've got to do. But isn't it a weird thing? The whole point about door-to-door knocking was what we imagined was to disseminate this hugely important message. It was critical, it was vital. The funny thing about it is I have a friend who is partaking in the UK elections this year, which I do on May the 7th, and he's standing as a local councillor, and so he's doing lots of door-to-door knocking. In fact, he tells me that they're doing it 3 times a day at the minute, and some of the stories that he tells me are so similar to what happens when you're a witness. It's just amusing. So he tells me this story. He's door-to-door knocking for the Labour Party, which is who he's standing for. He says, we're going down a street and this cat follows us down the street, and we knock on a door and somebody invites them in and the cat follows them in, so he imagines that the cat it belongs to the house. And the cat goes up to the sofa and pisses on the sofa while they're in there, and then as they stand up to leave, the householder says, "Are you going to take your cat with you?" And all along he was thinking the cat lived there and how disgusting these people were for letting the cat piss inside. Oh God, has that happened? How many times has that happened on field service? When a cat or a dog has followed you down the street, the only friendly face of the whole morning. I love you, and you're going, go away, go away, go away. So, amusing cat and dog stories, they don't just happen to Jehovah's Witnesses. The thing about door-to-door knocking is, I imagine that the reason they do it is it just gives people something to do, doesn't it? Like, think about the basics of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They basically just want loads of people, don't they? They need membership. And once you've got membership, what do you do with everyone? Give them something to do. And they must have sat in Bethel and thought, what can we get them to do? I know, we can get them to break rocks. Oh, shit, no. They've done that in the gulags in Russia. Oh, yeah. What can we get them to do? I know. We can get them to sell magazines. That's a great idea. Now, what's the most efficient way of doing this? Shall we advertise? No. Let's go for the most inefficient way possible of getting a message out. Sending actual human beings to knock every door over and over again. Yeah, but that's really boring, like proper piss boring. Yeah, but tell them it's saving people's lives, then they'll do it. I think it's just been manufactured to fill time, just to give something for people to do, but tell them it's really, really important, so they really feel like they have to do it all the time. I once offered to do some work for Amnesty International after I'd left being a Jehovah's Witness, obviously, and I was looking around for something else meaningful to do. And so one of the things Amnesty does is they have letter writing campaigns, which is good, but they also have a door-to-door thing. And they wanted me to go from door to door and collect money, and they allocated me some streets to go, an envelope, so put the envelopes through the door and then go back a week later and collect them. Oh God, it was soul destroying. And you know, I really believe in what Amnesty does, and I believe in the campaigns that they do and all the rest, But this bloody door-to-door thing, it destroyed me. And I was so embarrassed at knocking on doors and asking people for something. You've got something, I want something, here I am, cadging you for whatever it is, to sell a magazine, to sell a religious ideology, to get some money for a moralistic group of some sort. So what I did in the end, I knocked about 3 or 4 doors, realised that I just couldn't do it. And so I went home and just sent some money of my own and pretended that it was what I'd collected for amnesty from door to door. Which, when you think about it, is very much what Jehovah's Witnesses do, isn't it? Because they pay for the magazines in the Kingdom Hall. Yeah, they buy them from the book counter, and then they go out on the doors, and whether they place them or not, they've paid for them. So you can kind of faux place them, can't you? You can faux place them in coffee shops and in laundrettes and in washrooms and in dustbins. Because, hey, tramps look through dustbins, don't they? So you're not really throwing it out. It's not throwing it in the bin. It's placing it with a potential tramp who needs the message, isn't it? Just the same. You pay for it and then pretend that other people have received it. And I can't help thinking that all those magazines that the Watchtower churn out are probably mostly being saved in Jehovah's Witness third bedrooms in an embarrassing pile that they daren't place in the bin because they feel so guilty. I used to have a 6-monthly purge. I used to stash them in the spare room, all the magazines that I had to buy but couldn't place. And then after the pile got so high, I would place them in the bin, place them with the dustbin men, and feel guilty, but it was like all at once, right? It was a 6-month guilt rather than a monthly guilt. I could cope with that, do it all at once, get them all out, and then then it's okay, and then pretend that I'm going to place the next lot. So really, door knocking is the single most ineffective way that you could spread any message, especially now we've got the internet, and they have woken up to this a little bit, in that they realise that print is going out of fashion. It's dying on its arse, isn't it? Print is dying on its arse. Newspapers know that, magazines know that. It's all the internet stuff now. And how do you charge for the internet? You can put up a paywall, but can you imagine what would happen if jw.org put up a paywall? Be the California dust bunnies rolling across the screen every day as nobody paid to visit. Oh no, but that's not true, is it? All the rank and file would pay to visit. Silly me. Silly Billy me. But actually, wouldn't that be an interesting measure of exactly how many rank and file there were? Because only the hardened rank and file would pay a paywall to get jw.org. They're like the willy weeds and the wishy-washies and the don't go very often and don't go out on field survey. They wouldn't pay, would they? They'd think, fuck to that for a game of drafts. I'm not paying to get that rubbish. So that's another reason why they wouldn't put up a paywall. No, very few people would pay, I suspect. So door knocking, what is the future? I suspect it's going out of fashion. It's hard to maintain, and so they're going to have to invent some other activity to keep Jehovah's Witnesses occupied. Maybe they'll just have to invent something like moving rocks from one side of the garden to the other, crawling along on their hands and knees, swimming down the Amazon River to get to a Kingdom Hall so they know what it feels like. Suggestions on a postcard, please, to keep Jehovah's Witnesses occupied into the future. Thank you for listening to Stand Up for Jehovah.